I'm Mike Angiulo, and I've got a few things to show you tonight. I'm going to start with some of the work that our partners have done on Windows 7, show you the new version of Surface, and then a little glimpse into a technology preview of what's coming next. So here are some new Windows 7 PCs, and I'm going to kind of walk through each one and tell you what's cool about them. The first one, this is about Intel's new announcement. They just announced their new generation, their second generation of their core processors. It was codenamed Sandy Bridge. And what Intel did was combine a multi-core CPU and GPU onto a single chip. And that increases your graphics performance and decreases the amount of power it takes at the same time. PC World says that this gets 20 times more graphics performance than previous generation CPUs. And HP is going to put the new Core i7 into this notebook and expects to get 6.5 hours of battery life out of a standard 6-cell battery, which is pretty impressive. But I'm going to show you a performance demo. So this is the Galactic Performance Demo, and it's an application that was written all in HTML. This is Internet Explorer 9, the only browser that really takes full advantage of the underlying PC to use the GPU to graphically accelerate the web browsing experience. What you're looking at is an animated solar system that's made out of 2D pictures of planets that have been spherized by the GPU. It's really calculation intensive. You can see I'm getting 36, almost 40 frames a second on a mobile PC. A year ago, this was completely impossible. Here's another example. This PC is using the new processor from AMD. They just announced it. It's called Fusion. It's a multi-core CPU, a discrete quality DX11 level GPU, and a Northbridge, all put together onto a single die. They call this an accelerated processing unit, or APU. And what this lets you do is have a really high performance PC in a very small form factor with really great battery life. In fact, HP, by just changing the processor, almost doubled the battery life of this thin and light system to 9 hours. And I've launched the IE9 test drive site. This IE site has become a popular way for people to demonstrate hardware-accelerated web browsing. And I can increase the number of fish to 250 fish in this tank and get over 40 frames a second. And we're talking about in a PC that costs less than $500 and is this thin and light. So that kind of performance on an ultra-portable notebook is really brand new and quite impressive. And while processors continue to get more powerful and more efficient, our partners continue to invent really cool new modern form factors for the PC. So here's an example. This one is from Acer, and this is a dual screen PC. So you can see I have two 14-inch touch screens here. Is that cool? You like that one? It looks really cool from here, too. And what's neat is you not only have a lot of room for browsing, but I can take 10 fingers, put 10 fingers down on the screen, and immediately get a software keyboard that comes built in. Go ahead. Let it out. So I can launch Word here. I have a trackpad. I can do productivity scenarios. It's got that kind of hardware and software integration there in a really cool form factor. Here's an example. This is an engineering prototype of a PC that's coming in March. This is the Samsung PC7 sliding series. And you can see I can slide this closed, touch the screen, and then I have a PC that's really good for entertainment. What's really neat about this PC is what it has. It's got a micro SD card, it's got micro HDMI and USB. It has all the things you want in a PC. It's really light, it's about 1 kilo, but what's really cool is what's missing. This is an Intel Oak Trail-based PC. It has no fan. It's light, it's passively cooled, and you can immediately switch back and forth between those two form factors. This new tablet, you like that one too? I think it's pretty cool. This one I'm going to take a moment to really explain. This is the new tablet PC from ASUS, and this is a full-power Windows PC. So this PC has a Core i5 processor in it. It ships with this wireless keyboard. It makes a great productivity workstation for maybe a small area like on an airplane or a student's desk. And what you can see is that it responds well to Windows Touch because it has a capacitive touch screen. But because it's a tablet PC, I can also take out the pen and use ink. And what ink lets me do is stuff like, I'm highlighting here in Excel. I can take a pen and say, that's great. I can take an eraser, I can erase. And one of the cool things about ink and tablet PC is that tablet PC has handwriting recognition in 26 languages. And you can see this. When I have the pen down on the screen, can you see how my hand is not moving the spreadsheet around? This is one of the reasons that it's hard to do ink on touch-only devices, and why tablet PCs are so good for ink is because it's implementing palm rejection here. It actually knows what my hand is and knows what the pen is and doesn't get the two confused. Here's a touch-only game that I can launch, and you can see the characters following me around the screen, but what I want to show you here is the screen itself. This screen is really bright. And what we did with ASUS was we worked really hard with them to make sure that this screen would have off-axis viewing of almost a full 180 degrees. So as I move it around here on the camera, you can see that from almost any angle, this screen is really, really bright, and the colors don't shift. And we did that by working together on a process to optically bond all the components of the screen. So the Gorilla Glass on the surface, the underlying LCD, the touch sensor, even the electromagnetic digitizer for the ink are all bonded together as a single unit. And that process eliminates the air gap that's usually underneath the screen. So the screen is not only brighter, it uses 20% less power to actually get that same level of brightness. You can order these PCs starting right now. The page just went live on Amazon.com and the Microsoft Store, and I think they're going to be pretty popular. But if you want to see an example of really extreme integration on Windows 7, you have to look no further than the brand new version of Microsoft Surface. Microsoft Surface is announced today. This is a brand new version, and if you remember from the first version, you notice there's some pretty stark differences from version 1 of Surface PC. We worked hand-to-hand with Samsung on the entire end-to-end experience I'm about to show you. The first thing to notice is that the PC is thin. No longer is it a big box with cameras inside. This is only 4 inches thin. Inside here, there's a full-power Windows 7 PC. It's got a dual-core CPU and a GPU from AMD. Up top, this is the biggest piece of Gorilla Glass that has ever been bonded to an LCD ever. But what's really amazing about this technology, what really makes it magical, is the sensor itself. So those first-generation Surface PCs needed cameras underneath that would look up to try to see what was going on. But what we have here is called Pixel Sense. Pixel Sense is new technology we've invented where there's infrared sensors all across this screen. Every single pixel is actually acting as a camera. The PC, the Surface here, can actually see. So I'm holding up a piece of paper that says, I can see. And when I set it down, what you see on this debug monitor and what you can see in the split screen above is that the PC can actually see that paper. So this is even beyond touch. And Pixel Sense is more than just vision. It's actually the processing inside that takes that data and makes it available for developers to write cool applications on it. One of the really cool things about this new thinner form factor is it no longer has to just be a table. You can also use Surface as a kiosk. And I want to talk a little bit about the Royal Bank of Canada. This is one of our launch partners that is going to be putting these Surface PCs in public. These are ruggedized PCs. This thing is designed for industrial commercial application. In fact, if you go across the street to Hard Rock Cafe, you can see some of the Generation 1 Surfaces in use there in the bar. They can take the impact of a beer bottle dropping from 18 inches onto the screen without breaking, and even the fluid will run off properly. But do not tell them I sent you over there to try that. Here's an example of an application that would be up in the bank. The Royal Bank of Canada sends these flyers to thousands of potential customers, and when they take the flyer into the bank, they just show it to the screen, and Surface recognizes the flyer. It can see the flyer and enter you into this drawing and see whether you've won. And that's the power of Pixel Sense technology. Vision-based interaction creates a whole new category of applications that developers can write. You can see in this case I've won, which always happens in my demo. And when I close this, I can interact with some of the other applications that the bank might have to show up some of the products and services that they would have for customers. So here's an example of modeling how their savings products would work. So I save $5 a day, I get a little more realistic interest rate and save it for 20 years and see how it accumulates. So with the new lower price, the smaller size, the more versatile form factor, I think you're going to see Surface PC in a lot of cool places in the next year or two. So Steve, if you want to come back out, you can take a look at what it looks like to have 20 fingers on the screen at the same time here. I like this.
You got 10, I got 10.
There we go. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Mike.